Mean or average. The mean is the average of set of numbers. It is calculated by dividing the sum of all the numbers by the total number of values in the set. Steps to calculate the mean. Step 1. Add all the numbers together. Step 2. Divide the sum by the total number of values. Example. Find the mean of 10, 15, 20, and 25. First thing to do is add the numbers 10, 15, 20, and 25, and the answer is 70. Then, divide the numbers of value, which is 70 divided 4. The answer is 17.5. That means our mean is 17.5. The median is the middle value in a set of numbers when they are arranged in ascending order. If there are an even number of values, the median is the average of the two middle numbers. Steps to calculate the median. Step 1. Arrange the numbers in ascending order. Step 2. Find the middle value. If the total number of values is odd, the middle value is the median. If the total number of values is even, take the average of the two middle numbers. Example number 1. If the number of values is odd, find the median of 12, 7, and 14. First, arrange in ascending order. 7, 12, 14. Then, the middle value is 12, which means our median is 12. Example 2. If the number of values is even, find the median of 5, 10, 15, and 20. First, arrange in ascending order. 5, 10, 15, and 20. Then, the middle values are 10 and 15. Take their average. 10 added by 15 divide 2 equals 12.5. That means our median is 12.5.
Mode. What it is. The value that occurs most often in a dataset. How to calculate. First step, count how many times each value occurs in the dataset. Second step, the value that occurs most often is the mode. The example of dataset 5, 10, 10, 15, 20, 20, 20. The mode is 20. It occurs 3 times more than any other value. Range. What it is. The difference between the largest and smallest values in a dataset. How to calculate. First step, find the largest value in the dataset. Second step, find the smallest value in the dataset. Third step, subtract the smallest value from the largest value. Example of dataset is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. The highest is 25 and the lowest is 5. Now, subtract the highest and the lowest, which is 25 subtracted by 5. Now, the range is 20.
Margin of error indicates the uncertainty in stable results, showing how much the sample size may differ from the whole population. So to calculate the margin of error, we need to consider the sample size and the population size. We have example here. What is the margin of error if the total sample is a 550 from a population 6,800? First step, we need to write the given. Population is a 6,800 and the sample size is 550 and E is unknown. So second step, we need to write the formula. Formula is E equals square root of capital N divided by small n minus 1 and divide by capital N. So third step, we need to substitute them. And E equals square root of 6,800 divided by 550 minus 1 divided by 6,800. So, yung una muna po natin i-solve yung nasa numerator or nasa taas. So, 6,800 divided by 550 equals 12.36363636. So, ima-minus po natin siya sa 1. So, ang magiging sagot po dito is 11.363636. Then, i-divide lang po natin siya sa 6,800. Katapos po nun, katapos po natin siya ma-divide sa 6,800, makukuha po natin na sagot ay square root of 0.001671129. And then, ika-calculate lang po natin siya, ilalagay lang po siya sa calcu, at ang makukuha po natin na sagot nun ay 0.040879372125. Nasa inyo na po, o nasa teacher na po kung kung ilang decimal po yung lalagay. And i-multiply lang po natin yung sagot natin sa nakuha nating sagot sa square root. I-multiply lang po natin siya sa 100%. So, makukuha po natin ng sagot is 4.09%. Bakit po ba 4.09%? Kasi nga po, renound up po natin siya. So, ang last step na po, we have the formula of precision of level equals 100% minus percent of error. So, basically po, ito po, subtraction lang po to. 100, i-minus mo lang po siya sa nakuha niyong sagot sa margin of error. So, 100% minus 4.09%, ang sagot po nun is 95.91%. Now, we talk about the finding the sample size. So, we have example here para mas lalong maintindihan po natin yung sample size. How many samples are required in a study of learning styles of students if 4,000 students in Hogwarts are to be considered using 95% confidence level? So, first step, we need to write what? The given, of course. The population here, it is 4,000. The sample size is unknown. And then the E is 95%. Second step, we need to write the formula. N equals capital N divided by 1 plus capital N E squared. So, step 3, we need to substitute the given, of course. N equals 4,000 divide 1 plus 4,000, open and close parenthesis, 0.95 squared. So, ang una nating isolve dito yung naka-open and close parenthesis, which is 0.95 squared. And then 0.9025 yung magiging sagot doon. So, kailangan muna natin to isolve yung nasa denominator, which is sa baba. So, 4,000 multiplied by 0.9025, ang magiging sagot dito is 3,610. Ipa-plus 1 nyo lang siya. Then, kapag na-plus 1 nyo na siya, ang magiging sagot is 3,611. And then, last step, we need to i-divide mo lang siya sa 4,000. So, magiging sagot, ano nun is 9 equals 4,000 divide 3,611. Ang magiging sample size natin nun is 1. So, kapag may nakita kayong decimal sa calculator, maybe pwede siyang i-round up, ganon, pero nasa teacher naman yon. But, kapag finding sample size kasi, kailangan whole number talaga siya. So, kailangan talaga yung sagot dito, whole number. Kaya ang sagot natin dito is 1. Okay?
Next, we will talk about how to solve the one sample t-test. So here's our problem. A teacher claims that the average score of her students on a small quiz is 80. A student wants to test this claim by randomly selecting 5 students. The sample data shows the following scores: 85, 78, 79, 80, and 82.
Test the teacher's claim at the 0.05 significance level. So first step, state the hypothesis. So we have null and alternative hypothesis. The null and alternative hypothesis is 80. Second step, calculate the sample mean. The sample scores are 85, 78, 79, 80, and 82. To calculate the sample mean, we will use the formula sample mean is equals to summation of datas over sample size. So sample mean equals to 85 plus 78 plus 79 plus 80 plus 82 over 5. Add them and we will get 404 over 5. After adding them, we will divide it to the sample size, which is 5. So 404 divided by 5 is 80.8. So our sample mean is 80.8. So after getting the sample mean, we will solve for standard deviation. So our formula is S is equals to square root of summation of xi subtracted by sample mean squared divided by sample size subtracted by 1. So we will subtract the sample mean from the given value of the problem and then square them. For example, 85 subtracted by 80.8 squared is equals to 17.44. After that, we will add them all and so we will get 30.6 and substitute them to the given formula. So S is equals to square root of 30.6 divided by 5 minus 1. So the 5 here is our sample size. We will subtract first the denominator, after that divided 30.6 to 4, and we will get square root of 7.65 and then use calculator to know the square root of it, so the answer is 2.77. So for our standard deviation, we got 2.77. So fourth step is solving the t statistic. So our formula is t equals to sample mean subtracted by assumed mean divided by standard deviation divided by square root of sample size. Substitute the given, so 80.8 minus 80 over 2.77 divided by square root of 5. So first, we will subtract the sample mean and assume mean. And we got 0.8. After that, get the square root of 5. So the square root of 5 is 2.24. Then, we will divide the standard deviation to the square root of sample size. So 2.75 divided by 2.24 is 1.24. And then, divide the numerator to the denominator. So 0.8 divided by 1.24, the answer is 0.65. So our t statistic is 0.65. So after getting the t statistic, we will get the degrees of freedom. So we have a chart here that we will use to identify it. So our formula for degrees of freedom is df equals to sample size subtracted by 1. So we get 4. So we will look for the t-table to determine the degrees of freedom. We will look upon on two-tailed. So first, since you already know what is the significance level, so the significance level is 0.05. Look for it to the chart and our answer is positive negative 2.776. So the last step, the decision. The decision is negative 2.776 is less than to positive 0.65 to positive 2.776. So the decision is the null is accepted. Last, let's talk about the two sample t-tests. Here's our problem. A teacher wants to compare the test scores of two different classes. The test scores for the two classes are given below. The teacher wants to know if there is significant difference in the average scores between the two classes. Class A, For students, test scores equals to 80, 85, 90, and 95. The class B, 70, 75, 80, 85. Step 1. State the hypothesis. Step 2. Get the sample mean. Step 3. Solve for the standard deviation. Step 4. Solve for the t-statistic. Step 5. Get the degrees of freedom. And step 6. The decision. So, step 1. State the hypothesis. So, the null hypothesis of the problem is that class A and class B are equal. And the alternative hypothesis of the problem is that class A and class B are not equal. So step 2, get the sample mean. In getting the sample mean, we will use again the formula that we already used in one sample t-test. So sample mean is equals to summation of data over sample size. Substitute, sample mean is equals to 80 plus 85 plus 90 plus 95 divided by sample size, which is 4. Add them all and we got 350 over 4. Divide it. So 350 over 4 is equals to 87.5. So the sample mean of class A is 87.5. Same as the class B, we will just add them and divide it to the sample size. So our sample mean in class B is 77.5. So step 3, solve for the standard deviation. So we will just use again the formula that we use in one sample t-test. So substitute the given. Again, you will just subtract the given to each sample mean and then square your answer. For example, 80 minus 87.5 is equals to negative 7.5 squared. So the negative 7.5 is equal to 56.25. So in class A, the summation of data subtracted by the sample mean is 125. Substitute. So standard deviation is equals to square root of 125 divided by 4 minus 1. Let's subtract first. So 4 minus 1 is equals to 3. Then 125 divided by 3 is square root of 41.67. Then get the square root, so the standard deviation of class A is 6.46 and the standard deviation of class B is 7.07. Step 4. Solve for the t-statistic. So for our t-statistic, our formula is t is equals to sample mean of class A subtracted by sample mean of class B divided by the square root of standard deviation of class A over 4 plus standard deviation of class B over 4. Substitute. So, uunahin muna natin yung numerator. So, 87.5 minus 77.5 is equal to 10. After nun, add the standard deviation of class A and class B. So, 6.46 plus 7.07 is equal to square root of 13.53. So, get the square root of it. So, square root of 13.53 is 3.68. So, you can now divide them. So, 10 divided by 3.68 is equal to 2.72. So, step 5 is the critical value or the degrees of freedom. So, we will just use the t-table. Same formula, df is equal to sample size subtracted by 1. So, substitute. Our sample size is 4. So, df is equal to 4 minus 1. So, our df is equal to 3. So, using the chart, we will just look for 3 and then sa taas, makikita nyo yung 0.05 sa, titignan nyo siya sa two-tailed since null and alternative yung hypothesis natin. So, tingnan nyo muna sa taas, two-tailed, and then 0.05 sa bandang 3, since yun ang degrees of freedom natin. Decision. So, for the critical value is positive negative 3.182. So, the decision is negative 3.182 is less than 2, positive 2.72 is less than 2, negative 3.182. So, our decision is, our null is accepted.